Hi, welcome back to the Gabster channel. This is going to be a really cool video because I'm going to tell you about a few songs that are going to be quite amazing to listen to them on the Gabster TD1 Dac. But again, you can listen to them on any DAC, but if you have my Gabster TD1 Dac, you're going to be able to see them in a different light. And not just those songs, but these are in particular because you can really see some of the differences much more clearly than some of the other songs that are not so well recorded. We're going to start with the first song, and I've talked about this song many times, but I'm going to mention it one more time, maybe the last time. Whenever I want to check a system to see how the 3D imaging is, the holographicness of it, and the separation of the instruments, and how you could feel like you're in the music, this is the song that I use because from DAC to DAC, there is a world of difference between them. It's a song that actually quite highlights each DAC very easily so you can hear that difference. So again, it is Zulu Voodoo by Kalia Santilla, and it's also, besides the holographicness, it has some very beautiful bass and the high frequencies, and should be very clear because there's a lot of them. Otherwise, it's going to get very fatiguing very quickly because there's a lot of high-pitched sounds. And the more clean your system is, the more you're going to enjoy this track even more. In this particular 10 songs, it's going to be slightly different than the other ones. I'm going to talk a lot more about each song and specifically on timing. So I would just pay close attention on the timing, and you might want to listen to this and while you're listening to your tracks to see at least on some of the songs, because there's some really key elements that you do not want to miss by just simply jotting down the names and running with it. So the next song is not actually from my research, it's more from a friend of mine who she agreed to actually do 10 songs for our channel. So that's going to be coming probably in a month's time or so, so keep an eye on that one. But she suggested this song, and I had to actually put it in this list because it's so holographic that you really have to listen to it on the Gabster TD1. The song is Without You by Lapalax. And it is, like I said, it's very holographic. At the beginning, you're going to hear some really crackling sound, but it's going to come from behind you. Yes, behind you. There's not a lot of songs, not a lot of tracks that can actually create sounds that come almost behind you. This one does. And it's got a lot of ambiance to it and a lot of like a 3D holographicness to it that it's quite something to listen to. At 0:45 seconds, you will hear a bell. And the bell should feel very crisp and clear. And if you listen it on some other system, it may not be as crisp and clear as you hear it on the Gabster TD1 or any other maybe good DACs. So listen to that bell, and also it's just the whole track on itself is quite something to listen to. If you're wondering why I don't make a list of these songs, it's because otherwise YouTube will not play the video because people just jot the songs, don't watch the video. YouTube will think it's a really bad video and they'll just won't show it and no one will even see those songs. If I actually play them, that's even worse, then I'll get a strike and I'll be banned and no one will see the songs either. So now you know why. Number 3 is Spingle Falls by Spingle. There's a lot going on in this song to point. I had to write a little thing about it, and so I don't forget all the different passages. At around the first beginning is actually a little bit quiet, but it's got some nice ambiance to it. Around 1:15 there's some deep bass. You should feel how clear and deep the bass is. Around 1:40 there is some sort of a hi-hat kind of sound, not quite a hi-hat, but I think it could be one of those things you shake. But either way, it is quite clear, and you should feel the texture of it and how crisp and clear it is. Around 2:15 it goes into a really cool groove, and around the 3-minute mark there's quite a big change in the song itself, and goes on and on. Number 4, You're the One by Lemmings. I wanted to just put a different variety of songs here. So this one particularly is about more the guitar and the strumming of the notes. And so I would just pay close attention to how the guitar is being played, the strums are being played, and the ambience of it. On the Gabster TD1, you feel like you're actually there in front of the musicians, and it's got that nice presence and musicality to it. I strongly urge you to, if you have other songs in mind that you'd like to share with us, and just put a comment below, because the more we share, the more you participate, the more other people see those notes, and those 12 songs become hundreds of songs, and we all enrich our libraries, and we all enjoy the music even better. Number 5, Don't Say Anything by Wong San. You should hear great clarity in the instruments and her voice. You should feel like, again, you're there listening to the musicians and they're like playing around you. If you feel like the sound is compressed in front of you, then it may not be the DAC, or your speaker setup may not be all set up to the perfect position. At 1 minute 25 seconds, there's a saxophone that comes in, and you should feel the graininess of the sax, how clear it is, and just the clarity. It's just a mixture of all these, just makes it so real, like if almost it's been played in front of you. So the next one is If You Knew Me Now by Cristel Alsos. I've mentioned this song before, and I'm going to mention it again, because at the beginning the bass is quite something. It's very defined and very clear, and it shouldn't feel boomy, and it shouldn't feel like it's kind of out of its place, if I could say. The clarity and the definition of the bass is quite essential. And then comes her voice, the clarity in her voice, and around the 40th second, you should almost feel and hear her breath in the coming out as she sings. And it's a testament about how clear your system can be. All your equipment is put together, and how well your system is able to basically define the music. Number 7, this song is going to help you set up your speakers. This is not a song you're probably going to be getting excited about, or you might, but it's an old song by Madonna. It's Vogue, so we've listened and heard it many times. This is nothing new, but it's a very interesting song, because around the 20th second mark, there is a distinct clapping sound that comes basically from the left, and a little drumming kind of sound that comes from the right. And the further away and more to the left and more to the right, they're almost, the more like you feel them coming closer to you, away from the speaker, the more separation and the more imaging your speaker setup and your DAC and everything else is working well. So this is a good song, especially around that 20-second mark. You can listen to that many times, move your speakers around, and try to see if you can get the clapping and the little drumming to come almost closer to you and away from the speaker. And the more you succeed in that, the more you're going to be able to get your speakers in the right position to basically enjoy imaging. Around the 50th second, there's a lot of high frequencies that come into place, and just pay attention to make sure that those high frequencies are very clear and well defined, and that's what makes your system also good. Next song, it's gonna be Fever by Malia. I've already featured this song before, but it's all about the bass clarity and her voice again. So it's a combination of the mid-range, her voice, and the bass and the clarity, and also there's some high notes. And there's an ambiance to the song that's kind of hard to miss. And the more you feel that ambiance, the more your system is working well. The next song is about ambiance and being there. It's Everything is Free by Gillian Welch. I've featured this song before a long time ago, but when I listen to it on the Gabster TD1, even though it's a very simple song, I just feel like I'm right in front of her listening to the musicians playing and her singing. When I listen to it on a different DAC, yes, I enjoy it and I still like it and everything, but it's just not that same. So there is, I strongly recommend to listen to it. If you have a Gabster TD1, listen to it there and then try it on another DAC and see what I mean by the difference. It's not a huge difference, but sometimes it's just that small little subtle difference that you feel like the musicality and being there, it just makes you more at ease, and you feel like you're actually tapping your foot and you're enjoying the music. These songs and pretty much all my list, it's very good to enjoy on a quiet time. Like, don't pick a time when you got the kids running in the background and your neighbors mowing the grass and all that kind of stuff. Pick a time when, you know, it's usually in the evening, it's a nice quiet time. You get to hear all these way more than we would hear them in the daytime. The next song is a vintage old song. I just want to see how old songs will perform. And so I picked this song. It's basically Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. We all know this song. But what's striking about it is how vintage songs sometimes could sound great or could sound horrible on a system. And it's good to have, this is when you really need that musicality in your system to really appreciate some of the old vintage songs. And that's why a lot of them will sound better on vinyl versus, for example, being streamed digitally. So on this Gabster TD1, you should be able to see at the beginning of the song, there's a bit of clapping and there's this guitar, the electric guitar intro, and they should be able to feel them a little bit more separate apart than on a normal DAC. And you should also feel a little bit more musicality into the system. This is not a song where you're going to immerse you all over the place with holographicness, but it's just that small subtle change that you could feel, and something about vintage song that you get to appreciate. So the next song is Du Skaffelof by Sofia Karlsson. She's a Swedish folk singer, and she's got a beautiful voice, and her music is always very well recorded. I put it in the list because it's kind of like a simple song. There's nothing striking like on this song. It's just the simplicity and the clarity of it. But when I listen to the song on a DAC that's not so great, the sound sounds like it's there, but it's kind of congested. On a really good DAC or on the Gabster TD1 Dac, you could just you feel like at ease. You just took a step back and it's just the song opens up and you can feel that musicality. It's a much more enjoyable song to listen to. So I just wanted to throw a song like that because sometimes we always think we need like something really complex to find the flaws in the system, and often it's actually such a simple song can actually show you that the difference. And number 12, yes, I always throw a couple extra ones in there. Number 12 is a movie soundtrack, and it's from the Blade Runner, and this is by Hans Zimmer. We all know how great he is. And this basically track is quite amazing. He uses such big orchestra. These are all the real instruments most of the time. And it's just the depths of these instruments is just mind-boggling. It's something that your ears will have a feast just listening to that kind of track. I hope you enjoyed this sample, specifically picked so you can basically in one way set up your speakers, in one way see the difference between the Gabster TD1 Dac and other DACs, or maybe just see how your DAC is faring compared to your other DACs as well. So it could work for everybody, so it's not just for that. I'm going to put a link in the corner here about a few more songs, and so you can listen to. These are well-recorded songs that you might want to explore. And in this corner, this is where I featured my Gabster TD1 Dac, so you get an idea what I'm talking about when I mention the Gabster TD1 Dac. So there will be a speaker in the middle if you'd like to subscribe. My Patreon link, if you want to support me, is in the description. I hope to see you again, and take care.